I recently was talking with Rakim. He was in the Bay Area a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about that. What really influenced his style is the fact that he plays saxophone and he loves jazz. And so when he composes and when he writes, he sees himself as a note that's added to the symphony of music that he has in his head. So everything he does is based on that. And I thought that was an interesting, approach, especially when I juxtaposed it with what E40 once told me. He said if you listen to a lot of their older music, it's really based upon his love for playing instruments in a band. He was in a band in Grambling, and he said all that mob music was what it was called at the time is really based upon, playing a big band. And if you listen to it carefully, you can hear the trombones and, and all that. So for you, especially now that you have the music theory under the belt and all this experience, how should we really be listening to Tha Funkee Homosapien?
Okay, that's a good question. My background pretty much is funk, straight up, more or less. To a greater degree, I guess, Parliament, Funkadelic, James Brown to a lesser degree, But I've studied James Brown music pretty thoroughly, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's pretty much my background, but hip-hop also,
Right.
At this point, I try to be more musical sometimes, but I also feel like I pretty much understand hip-hop pretty good, too. Mm-hmm. So I try to add that to what I think a hip-hop song should be,
Right.
Sometimes I try to mix funk and hip hop together, and make something new out of that.
Do you think funk is hip hop? Because I think it is, but I don't know. How do you see it?
Yeah, pretty. I look at it like this. I look at hip-hop as basically the kids of all the people that was listening to funk back then, like in the 70s or late 60s, whatever,
Right.
So, yeah, I look at I look at all black music as pretty much the blues, if you want to go back far enough,
Okay, and this is just a manifestation of it.
Exactly.
We've been talking with Tha Funkee Homosapien. I'm going to let you pick a song, out of your vast catalog. What's a song that you really, think captures the essence of Del?
Ooh, the essence, huh?
When we listen to it, we go, damn it, that's a Del song.
Dr. Bombay.
Dr. Bombay. Okay, there you go. We'll be right back.
Oh. I know I'm drunk now. Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot my...
We're back here listening to the classic. That's vintage classic right there. Did you think it was going to be this big, Dr. Bombay?
Nah, man. I mean, I wasn't even really tripping off of it, really, to tell you the truth. I just was doing what I wanted to do, and it was coming true. And honestly, it was happening so fast that I didn't really have time to process nothing, really. I was just doing it.
Right. Being a veteran now, since 91, and I should remind people, before we get into the question, Del will be performing at Slim's, right?
Right.
For 2 nights?
Yeah.
So this is 2 shows in a row. So that says something right there, and this has always been my gripe, not with you guys, but with the powers that be. Every time Hyro or yourselves as solo artists or as the groups, individual groups, seem to do a show, you always do like 2 and 3 dates in the city. And, most people, they come in, like Mike Jones is here, it's one night, he's out. And, he can barely sell out the show, and they got tons of promotion around him. You see what I'm saying? He's on the radio, there's all the bells and whistles. And then, we don't hear Del songs on the radio. We don't hear Hyro being pumped up all over the place. Yet and still, you got a fervent fan base that comes out enough that you could do 2 shows at a nightclub, or sell out the Fillmore. How do you, what do you account for the following, and how come that doesn't get reflected in terms of mainstream radio and other outlets promoting you all? Because you definitely have the audience that they should want.
You know what? I look at it like, it's pop culture pretty much, and we're just not really into that. I wouldn't mind getting more into that, you feel me? But that's not really the type of music that we make, So, that's what I would put on it, That's what I would say it would be, The fan base is there, but they don't market to that, you know what I'm saying? They market to the same old, you know what I'm saying, pop culture that they've been marketing to.
But one can make the argument that you become pop in terms of popular.
Yeah,
you guys,
definitely.
You guys sell out shows all over. You know, I've seen Hyro in Chicago sell out House of Blues. I've been here. You know, I've seen this large fan base. So I'm going, okay, they got the popularity.
Right.
You know, the fans, you know, they come in there wearing rockaware and skater shoes and Vans. So it ain't like, you know, you got old men from Sebastopol showing up at the Dell show and they're going, we're trying to get somebody from Oakland. And you all are from the town, you know. So it's like you represent the diversity of people that come from Oakland.
Yeah.
So I just don't know why that's not celebrated as much, you know?
Right.
I mean, why can't we see you standing right alongside a Too Short or anybody else, and it just gets accepted as, you know, like this is all part of Oakland? Why is it so segregated? Not because you all do it, but the powers that be.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I'm trying to push to try to get that to change now, and that's why I wanted to try to change my style up a little bit. Not even change it up, but go back to what I was doing on my first album a little bit, because I feel like I was moving too far away from that and getting too, you know, it was too much of a technical thing where if you wasn't hella into hip hop,
right,
you just didn't even get the whole experience.
Right.
So I wanted to bring it back to what I was doing before, not chopping off everything that I did with the technical side, but just kind of bringing it down a little bit so like I could come peep this. This is my world too, so I'll introduce you a little bit to this, but slowly, instead of trying to just bombard you with it, you know.
I'm going to play a song I wanted to before we get into it. We're talking with Tha Funkee Homosapien. How did this come about, and how did you feel? Because this particular song, I think, got nominated for Grammy and all that other stuff. We're talking about Gorillaz. Is it Clint Eastwood or by the Gorillaz, right?
Yeah, by the Gorillaz.
Yeah, I always get it mixed up. I'll be like, Gorillaz by Clint Eastwood. But Clint Eastwood by the Gorillaz. You know, how did that come about, and what did you think about how popular that song went on to become?
It's a funny story behind that song, but basically, I was finishing up the Deltron album with Automator Dan, and he was working on the Gorillaz project.
Right.
I had known about it for a minute. He had shown me pictures and stuff. So he was like, you know, he had a rapper on the song. He didn't like him.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So he wanted me to replace the rapper. And he knew that I could write a rap then in the studio in like 30 minutes and it would be good or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't want to do it really because I was tired from all night sessions doing, you know, Deltron.
Right.
But I ended up doing it anyway. Around that time, my mom had got me like a Christmas gift. It was a gift card for Barnes and Nobles. Mm-hmm. So I used that card to buy a book called How to Write a Hit Song, right? As a joke, because I was like, okay, whatever, you know. Started reading it, and I was like, oh, okay, this is game, actually. So I soaked it up, you know what I'm saying? To make a long story short, I used the stuff that I learned in that book to write Clint Eastwood.
And that was a hit song, almost got you a Grammy.
Yeah.
Did it win a Grammy, or did it lose that?
I don't know, because I don't stay up on that type of stuff, but I did get a platinum plaque for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, shoot, I just remember it was like, damn, Del might win a Grammy, you know? So that was big news. So that book actually worked.
Yeah, it looked like it worked.
Well, what's the name of the book? I mean, maybe
How to Write a Hit Song. I don't remember the author, but it's a woman, you know. So
do you apply any of the formula to that for your other projects?
Oh yeah, I feel like at this point I studied songwriting, I studied music theory, you know what I'm saying. So I just try to put my twist on it to where I feel like it should be applicated.
Okay, and last question, you know, it might seem kind of, you know, off the chain, you know, and I've heard this record 1,000 times, but what the hell is the song about, Clint Eastwood?
Basically, it's funny, man, because I asked them the same thing. Basically, it's about this dude that's in the group, the black dude that's in the group. I think his name is Russell, right?
Right.
He has like a ghost that comes out of his head or whatever and starts playing the drums, right?
Okay.
So I asked them, what is that supposed to mean or whatever, and Dan is like, Well, we'll just leave it up to you. We know you'll do good with it, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to work with nothing then. Basically, what I wrote about is like that's like the spirit of God or whatever in you, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And he's getting busy, you know what I'm saying? You just let loose, and then you just let that spirit take over you. You could do it, basically, you know.
And Clint Eastwood ain't really call y'all up or anything?
Nah. Yeah, I was thinking about that while you were saying it. Like, nah, he didn't hit us up, man.
Yo, he didn't do the Rosa Parks thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's take a break. Let's listen to this hit song, the Gorillaz featuring Tha Funkee Homosapien. It's called Clint Eastwood. We'll be right back.